The other riders all competed there at Palau Sant Jordi, so just one change to the lineup with Hugo Dufresne coming in and replacing Aniol Jalabert, who drops out from the basement position after the opening round. Still an opportunity for more wildcards and more changes to that lineup as we go on through the season. But it's just about time to get into the action. Before we do so, a couple of speeches from the political personalities who've contributed to this event taking place here in Chalon-sur-Saône.
Le week-end dernier, c'était une magnifique victoire de l'élan. Et ce soir, une épreuve du championnat du monde, les 8 meilleures motos triales. C'est vraiment un moment exceptionnel. Merci à toutes celles et tous ceux qui nous permettent. Et bonne soirée à toutes et à tous ici au Colisée. Bonne soirée. Merci monsieur Martin. Monsieur qui nous parle de quel bonheur d'avoir une ville aussi dynamique qui remplit de salles comme ici, full ce soir, 3500 ou 3600 personnes. C'est un régal.
Oui, c'est un régal. Merci en tout cas à tous d'être là. Effectivement, on a cette chance d'avoir cette compétition. Ce rendez-vous-là, il est installé depuis longtemps. C'est la 12e édition. C'est vrai qu'il y a un suspense fabuleux aujourd'hui parce que le niveau de compétition est très très haut. C'est le plus haut. Il y a vraiment un investissement de tous. Sébastien Martin a rappelé un gros investissement local, mais également national et international. La fédération nationale, la fédération internationale sont là, partenaires, co-organisatrices de l'événement. Et pour nous, ça compte beaucoup. Donc oui, effectivement, ça fait rayonner Chalon. On ne peut pas vous dire le contraire. On est heureux quand des événements comme ça se passent ici. Ça fait rayonner notre ville. Ça lui donne un coup de booster partout. Et puis, je crois que c'est aussi comme ça qu'on mérite cette réputation. Et ça encourage, il faut se dire aussi, même si c'est sur un sport particulier, ça encourage tous les sportifs de la ville. Une ville comme Chalon, c'est 120 clubs sportifs, c'est 18 000 licenciés. Donc c'est quelque chose d'absolument énorme. Et ce soir, je crois qu'ils sont très nombreux à être là aussi pour encourager les champions.
Those speeches given to the crowd in France by Sébastien Martin, the president of Grand Chalon, and Gilles Plâtré, the mayor of Chalon-sur-Saône there, the second speaker, just explaining what a cooperation at local, national and international level it is to bring an event of this calibre to Chalon-sur-Saône, and that it is an area with a great deal of participation and with licence holders for motorcycling in general. So it is a priority for these local politicians, and they're looking forward to a high level of international event coming up at Extra Chalon-sur-Saône tonight. So it's time to head into the action with our first competing rider, and it's Hugo Dufresne, French representative, reigning world number 6 in the Trial 2 World Championship, runner-up in last year's French Championship, where really he closed the gap significantly to Benoit Bincaz. He was beaten by just 3 points with 2 wins in the 5 rounds. And he makes his second X-Trial appearance here. He was given a wildcard outing at the 2023 season finale X-Trial Vendée as a reward for that sensational performance over the course of the French Championship. Let's see what he's got at international level here as he embarks on section number 1. Good work on the very first step. He's into the opening section. A couple of A-frames to make his way across. He's misjudged that, and down he goes and clatters his back into the side of the section as well. A 5-mark score in the opener for Hugo Dufresne. And that's a shame because he made the first step well. Just a little bit of technical ability missing there. Getting the bike straddled across those 2 A-frames to be split between them. And back first into the side of the section, so hopefully okay. Of course, riders do wear back protectors as well, just to help them in case of that type of incident. Hugo Dufresne, big step to start us off in section 2. He's made it up. That'll be 1 mark for leaning. Landing it, but on the sump. Hugo Dufresne. Another 2 marks there. The left foot goes down, and also you heard the clack of the sump, so any further drop marks now in this section, it will be another failure for Hugo Dufresne. Section number 2. Nice work on that particular landing. No further drop marks there then. Critical from here on in. Any further errors will be penalised severely. Time is on his side, of course, in the opening round. 5 minutes for those 5 sections. It's in the second round that time becomes a greater challenge. This will be interesting. He's got to flick himself over the top here without taking a mark for leaning on the peak of that crate. On the back wheel, but he's unable to do so. He needs the sump, so although he makes it to the end of the section, for an accumulation of more than 3 marks, it is a failure for Hugo Dufresne in section 2. Tough task, of course, tonight for Dufresne. He managed to claim the scalp of Luca Petrella at Extra Vendée on his debut in November, but he was 12 marks behind his nearest rivals, the likes of Bincaz and Martin on that occasion. And it's an 8-rider Extra field this season. It's only got tougher to make an impression. Hat-trick of failures then for Hugo Dufresne. 15 marks from 3 sections now. Unable to make it up that first step. Onto the giant cable reels. 2 sections then for Dufresne to try and avert a maximum score. Remember, give him some credit, coming into the championship from the cold at the second round, far from easy. Albeit after appearances in the trial indoor internationals at Chambéry and Montpellier at the start of this season. Section 4. Trunks for Dufresne to negotiate here. Wants to line himself up with the middle, give himself the biggest possible contact patch. And then onto these rock gabions, as you can see, on which this trunk is resting. Over he goes. Another step here to make. Section number 4. So far perhaps a lower level of difficulty. Dufresne will be keen to get out of this one then. And Dufresne is through. Through in section 4. And that's the first big cheer raised up from the Coliseum tonight. Dufresne clean in section 4. One more to come then, section 5. Ooh. And down he goes, off the side of the bike on the very first step. Good landing for him as well. So there we have it, 20 marks out of a possible 25 for Hugo Dufresne. 4 failures from 5 sections. He will, of course, appear in the second round with an opportunity to improve on that. But only 4 sections in round 2, so the damage might well already have been done to his scorecard. French hopes then likely rest with this man, Benoit Bincaz. 7th at Extra Barcelona, first time out this season, but he was only 2 marks behind teammate Adam Raga in 5th, so a promising start, you'd have to say, even if he walked away from the Catalan capital with just a couple of World Championship points. Bincaz does have a history of raising his game in front of the French fans. Think back to that unexpected first podium at Toulouse in 2018, or his exploits in the X-Trial of Nations that year in Nice, and also 2019 in Vendée. 8 important days for Benoit Bincaz with 2 rounds in his homeland back-to-back. Section number 1. 27-year-old representative of the host, Benoit Bincaz. 4 of the 5 sections failed by Hugo Dufresne, so not much of a line given to Bincaz or an indication of how to proceed. Riders walked the sections, of course, earlier in the day to give themselves the best possible understanding of what they're going to tackle. Dufresne didn't make it this far. Opening new ground then, Benoit Bincaz. Tricky, this particular element, taking his time. Oh, and he's got up. He's been given 1 for leaning. So presumably, Moreno Piazza was happy enough that the right foot didn't leave the footrest there. Another 2 marks given since, though. One we didn't spot. I don't know whether he used one to pull himself up. And then the third, the landing on the stump. So 3 marks in section 1, but Benoit Bincaz is the first rider to make it through there unscathed. Well, 2 marks has now been given, so we'll wait for official confirmation on that. It looked like Moreno Piazza was holding up 3 fingers there. I did say we only saw 2 of those marks. Will be one at the very start of section 2. So lands it, but does so on the stump. You can see the Italian section observer in the background there, just holding up a finger. Three minutes to go for Benoit Bincaz. Already the first rider successfully through section 1, bidding to become the first rider successfully through section 2 as well. Here he goes. He's up. Very nice work in that section. Avoids taking him up for leaning late on. As things stand, that moves him on to 3. We'll wait for further indication about that section 1, but Bincaz is straight up and straight down at the start of section 3. So first failure of the run moves him on to 8 marks. 2 sections still to come. Penultimate section. This was the only one completed by Hugo de Frez. He did it clean. Bincaz will feel that he has got to do the same. He's made it up the first bit. As I said earlier on, the level of technical difficulty is certainly harder in some of those other sections. We saw a failure there for Benoit Bincaz in section 3. This is section 4. Bincaz hoping to steady the ship. And not too much of a factor in this round 1. In the case of a tie, following the 9 qualifying sections, it'll be the best result in round 2 that is taken. The time there might be more of a factor. Bincaz can afford to use the full 5 minutes if he needs them. He's through in section 4. With 2 riders through there clean. It's going to be one of those banker sections that the riders will need to clean to have a hope of remaining in contention for qualifying, but equally it effectively reduces the number of sections in this round 1, reduces the opportunity to make a difference at very least. Section 5. Mark for leaning there on the first step, lands it on the stump. Nice work there on the cylinder. Bincaz has got to be very careful not to slip off the section, but he manages to get it stopped on that tiny cube. Not even the same length as the bike. Good control being shown by Benoit Bincaz. Section 5. That's going to be a mark for leaning, I think. But he is through. So Benoit Bincaz, 5 sections completed. And we expect that to come out at 10 marks. Benoit Bincaz then takes over as leader of this round 1. Hugo de Frez departs back to the pit. Bincaz comfortably superior to Dufresne, who failed 4 of the 5 sections. Just 1 fiasco for Bincaz. 10 marks his score with 15 seconds remaining on the clock. 4:44.4 is given as the official time. Third rider out then tonight is Toby Martin. starred in the inaugural X-Trial Chalon-sur-Saône with third position 2 years ago, even topped the table after his opening run and recorded a championship bonus point. That night, his first career podium, claimed second podium at X-Trial Madrid back in November. Into section 1. Hugo de Frez scored 5 marks through here. Benoit Bincaz eventually has been given 2. That's what Toby Martin's got to try and beat here. He will feel that his fight isn't really with the likes of Bincaz. His focus will be on the final 3, Marseille, Buster and Beau, to see if he can break into those podium positions. 1 mark for leaning there. Shake of the head, he's frustrated by that, obviously felt that was doable clean. Now he's got to gather himself up. He's through to the end of section 1 without dropping any further ground, so already 1 up on Benoit Bincaz at the same stage. Section 2, Benoit Bincaz dropped 1 mark from here. See about this opening step. Shame for Martin on the landing there, that's 1 for leaning. He'd done well to get up the first step, but just on the descent, lands on the side. That's probably the mark he wanted to avoid. He'd done well up the first step, as I say. Just slight misjudgment from there. We'll hope to remain clean to the end of this section now. 3.5 minutes on the clock. Good work to press the bike on forward. Physical work in that section 2 as well. Single dab in each of the opening 2 sections of round 1 then for Toby Martin. Still 8 marks ahead of Benoit Bincaz. Now this one could well give us a bigger indication as to whether Martin's going to have podium pace tonight. First step was failed by Hugo de Frez and by Benoit Bincaz. Martin with an opportunity to move well clear from here. Right foot goes down. He's got up. He's needed a little bit of assistance there. And Alex Wigg alongside him. Martin just taking it in stages, bridging across to the next of those cable reels. So once he'd taken that mark, he's going to take his time as well. That's going to be another mark there for leaning. Just hooks the stump over the edge of that cable reel. Taking a lot of time up in this section 3. He may have to rush section 4. But this is a brilliant ride from Martin. We haven't seen either of the 2 Frenchmen get as far as this. An opportunity then for Martin to break clear of the basement positions. He lands that nicely. That's a real risk for coming out of the side of the section. Stops and makes the turn. Less than 2 minutes now. He's got to get out of this section and complete 2 more. Equally, this looks like being the most challenging section of the bunch in round 1. Martin can get through this one, and it's only going to be small margins separating him from the top 3, that's for sure. Toby Martin is up and through in section 3. A brilliant performance from the Brit. Again, that gets the crowd rocking. We Will Rock You playing out for Toby Martin there in section 3. Straight into section 4. This is where he can make up a bit of time, but he can't afford to make any mistakes. De Frez and Bincaz were clean through here. Martin 4 up on Bincaz at the same stage. Rushing through there. Heart in your mouth stuff if you're a follower of Toby Martin, that's for sure. But he knows he needs to make up the time he conceded in section 3, and he's done so in section 4. A minute now, with 1 section still to go and only 4 marks on the board. Reliving his exploits in Chalon-sur-Saône from 2 years ago when he was up on the podium at this event. Taking a breath before he embarks on section 5. He's conceded a mark for leaning there on the first step. Those metal cages and their sharp corners really inviting a mark. Now it's about precision on the descent. And he's failed. Disaster for Toby Martin. It was a brilliant run. Cursed to the commentator almost. I said that was the main risk of the section. He lands on the slump, teeters backwards and down to a first failure. round number 1 ends on a sour note for Toby Martin. He will take over as the leader from Benoit Bincaz. It's 9 marks to Martin, 10 to Bincaz, and 20 to Dufresne. Martin will feel that 3 or 4 marks better was certainly possible there in section 5. So Martin, your new leader on 9. Next up then, Adam Raga. We're unused to seeing him so early out through the sections, but he only finished in 5th at Extra Barcelona. His home round, remember, where he took his latest victory back in 2019. To be honest, though, he wasn't very far away from the podium. He had an unexpected failure in the opening section of his second run, and that proved pretty costly. You suspect Raga's putting just as much pressure on himself as his rivals are. Knows he's in the twilight of his career. You can see Marseille and Busto a little bit ahead of him, frankly, a little bit more consistent as well. And he's fighting against it for all he's worth. Adam Raga, 41 years of age, representing Sherco, bidding to become the first rider clean in section 1. Fred scored 5 here, Bincaz 2, Martin 1. This is Adam Raga. Just gathering his balance for the run to the end of this section now. Nicely done by Adam Raga. Gets it up onto the back wheel. And Adam Raga is clean in section 1. First rider clean through there. He'll be hoping that sets the tone for his 9th. You can see where the main point of difficulty was, just to try and get up to the biggest step without taking a mark. And a couple of revs and spins of the back tyre, but he does manage to keep himself clean for now. Section 2, big step to open us with. Benoit Bincaz dropped a mark on that step, no such problems for Adam Raga. Toby Martin then dropped one on the descent. Again, Raga will be hoping to become the first rider clean through here. Good work on that landing, but ultimately a little bit nervous. The bike escaping from underneath him. And Raga takes a dab of his right foot, so he's been given 2 marks now. That is more than either Bincaz or Martin. First target is to get through all 5 sections without a failure, because Bincaz failed section 3, Martin failed section 5. That leaves both of those riders with work to do. I fancy, in terms of the podium place, this looks like being generally a low-scoring round 1. Perhaps section 3, the biggest point of difficulty. As Raga positions himself for the exit now, on the back tyre. So it will be 2 marks in section 2 for Adam Raga. Toby Martin was on the same score at the same stage. Section 3 could well prove decisive in round 1. Failure for Dufresne and Bincaz on the first step. Adam Raga too will fail the first step of section 3. That is something of a surprise. 7 marks now, only 2 ahead of Toby Martin, with 2 sections still to ride. 2.5 minutes in which to tackle them. Bad news for Adam Raga in section 3. Really has been struggling over the last 12 months or so, Raga, but remember, he was only 1 mark short of victory here in Chalon-sur-Saône in 2022, and you don't lose that kind of quality overnight. Just a question of whether he can regain the form he showed before his knee injury last month, and also to adapt to the Sherco after a late winter switch from TRS. Has had another month on the Sherco now. Maybe hoping that brings him a little bit closer to the front tonight. Sergio Ribau, his assistant, making his way up into position. Raga to successfully exit section 4, 4th rider clean through there. So, Raga 7, Martin 9, Bincaz 10, but 1 section still to go for Raga. He drops 2 marks here, then it'll be between himself and Martin on a tie break, and of course Martin, by failing the final section, maxed out under the current time regulations. That's oh dear! Ragger's down for another failure. Well, that really is a disappointing run for Adam Ragger, and a major shock as well. Ragger needs to go back to the pits and collect his thoughts now ahead of his second ride. Bit of an anti-climax there in section 5. He was setting it up for Ragger to try and make his way through. He landed on the sump, he slid around for a moment on the engine plate, and then down he went for a second fiasco. So only Hugo Dufresne has failed more sections than Adam Ragger there in his round 1 performance. 4 riders still to come: Matteo Grattarola, Gabriel Marseille, Jaime Busto and Tony Bow. This is Matteo Grattarola, making his 25th X-Trial appearance tonight. Small milestone for a rider of his experience, but easy to forget that he's only been a full-time rider in the championship in 2013 and then since 2021. Target score is 9 then. Winner stays on and Toby Martin is still on the arena floor. Adam Ragger dropping behind both Toby Martin and Benoit Bincaz in the seeding order for round 2. Tough to see Ragger struggling like that, and we're not used to it. 23 years in this championship, and only the last year or so that he's begun to drop back in the pecking order. Matteo Grattarola hoping to take advantage. Beat Ragger narrowly at the opening round in Barcelona. Section 1 for him, very efficient and rapid work. Second rider through clean in section 1. Section 2 now. Adam Ragger took 2 marks here. Bincaz and Martin just a single dab each. First step and then the descent, the main challenges. As Grattarola made it up there clean, it certainly looks like it. The tiniest bit of air between the sump and the section. Grattarola still in there and still clean. Some height as he drops back down now. Oh, an error there from Grattarola, but he manages to force the bike forward. That could be important. Certainly feel that's a mark dropped, but it's also 4 saves for Grattarola. Nobody else got themselves into quite that predicament, but thankfully for the Italian, he had been clean earlier on in the section, so still just 1 mark from 2 sections. First step of section 3, and Grattarola is up. This one failed by 3 of the 4 riders to tackle it so far. Only Toby Martin has made it through. That's going to be a mark for leaning. So Grattarola. Two and a half minutes, half the time remaining. Pretty much halfway through section 3. You know this is the longest and most challenging of round 1. Grattarola lands it again on the stump, a little bit short on the landing. He's got to be careful on the descent here. Can't afford any further drop marks. Again, has just enough margin to remain in the section. Points himself towards the exit gate. Finder Angelo giving him the indication of where he wants his man. Grattarola takes his own approach, but he is through. Waits for confirmation on the score there. Looked like it was 2 to me. That is now confirmed. Straight in to section 4. Cleaned by 4 riders thus far. Matteo Grattarola on just 3. Toby Martin, remember, on 9 after his opening run. So a clean here for Grattarola, and he will definitely be at least 4th after round 1. Of course, combined scores of rounds 1 and 2 will decide the 3 riders who make the podium tonight and progress to the grand final to contest victory. Just over a minute. So Grattarola. He's up, And nicely done. Second clean of the run for Matteo Grattarola, but crucially he got through section 3 as well. Unlike Adam Raga, who was on 7 marks at the same stage, Grattarola 4 marks clear of him. And as I say, will be at least 4th position after round number 1, regardless of his efforts here in section 5. He's got to try and keep up the pressure for the podium places. He's got that horribly wrong. And you heard the cry of frustration because he knows that this step is not going to be possible. The failure for Matteo Grattarola then in section 5. Oh, that one clearly harder than Benoit Bincaz made it look. Grattarola got up to the first ledge, but really, you'd assume you've got to do it in one fluid motion to get all the way to the top, halfway, and then trying to lift the bike. The bike is too short, so Grattarola takes over the lead of Extra Chalon-sur-Saône, but doesn't look too satisfied with that because he felt he could get through section 5, like Benoit Bincaz did before him. Pretty close then, the scoring between the last 4 men we've seen. Grattarola 8, Martin 9, Bincaz 10, and Raga 12. Separated by just 4 marks. But there are only 4 sections in round number 2. So it's going to be difficult to make up big margins. As Matteo Grattarola shot himself in the foot there with that failure in section 5. We're about to find out. Top 3 from the opening round of the season. Top 3 from last year's World Championship, starting with Gabriel Marseille. Amazing to think that Marseille finished in last place at Extra Chalon-sur-Saône in 2022. Really underlines what a long way he's come in a short space of time. That season was his first as a Repsol Honda Trial Team rider after the retirement of Takehisa Fujinami. And Marseille at that stage was dreadfully inconsistent, but last year crept ever closer to a first Extra win. Went level with Tony Bow into the last section of Extra Madrid, forced a run off for victory at Extra Vendée. Could tonight be the night in to take that elusive first Extra win. Section 1, Adam Raga and Matteo Grattarola, both clean through here. Grattarola is the target for Marseille. If he beats 8 marks in round 1, then he will be still among the top 3 seeds when we get into round 2. That's going to be a mark dropped there for leaning. Lands that step, but does so on the sum. A slightly scrappy start for Marseille. He'll be frustrated to have given that dab away. Grattarola watching on. That's already won more than Grattarola at the same stage. The top 3 after this opening round, you fancy it might well be riders who avoid failing any sections because everyone thus far has failed at least one. Section 2, firing up Gabriel Marseille. Good work there. Nobody's been clean through them yet. So far so good for Gabriel Marseille. Perfect on the landing. Back tyre slipping down a little bit further maybe than he wants it to. He's trying to get it back into position. He's managed that successfully. Section 2, failed by Hugo de Frez. The other 4 riders subsequently have made it through this one. But Gabriel Marseille is the best of all of them. In section number 2. First rider clean through there. 1 mark, the same score as Matteo Grattarola at the same stage. Good work on the first step for Marseille. He's taking it in stages, like we saw Toby Martin do earlier on. Taking his time. Plenty of time available to the riders in round 1. It'll get tougher later on. Speed of the essence in round 2, and then in the grand final. Sections to be tackled in 2 directions. I think that'll have been a mark for leaning. Gabriel Marseille watched on by his elder statesman teammate within that Repsol Honda trial team. Tony Beau keeping an eye on Marseille's lines. Those two were genuine rivals in the last 2 rounds of last season. Marseille, oh, it's a little bit deeper thought on that landing there, but he again is able to stop it in time. Wait for confirmation on the score. There was certainly one drop mark for leading earlier on in the section, I feel. It's been a good ride through section 3 for Gabriel Marseille. An opportunity to take an advantage here over Matteo Grattarola. And he hasn't wasted it. Here he goes. Section number 3, it is indeed a 1-mark score. So 2 marks the progressive total for Gabriel Marseille. 6 marks better than Matteo Grattarola. How many of those can he bank? That's the question. Remember, whatever work he does here will benefit him when we get to round 2. Almost floating in the air there, Marseille, section 4. This one cleaned by every rider who's faced it. Marseille then needs to do the same. Marseille is through in section number 4. 2 marks then, still the score, and he will be the top 3 seed to round 2 tonight. But can he get through section 5? Only one rider's done so far. Teeters on that first step, so he's going to take a bunch of marks there. Well, 1 for leaning and 1 for footing has been given. A little bit short on that jump as well, but he manages to urge the bike forward. Still 2 marks. Time is also becoming a factor now. 15 seconds on the clock. Has Marseille left this too late and misjudged things? No, Marseille is home in time. Only 6 seconds to spare. Takes the lead of Extral Chalon sur Saône. The first rider through all 5 sections without a failure. 4 marks to score compared to 8 for Grattarola, who exits the stage now. Still very much in the mix for a top 3 berth, Grattarola. May well be left to rue that failure in section 5. Marseille made it through in swift order, and he had to get home inside the time allowance. So Gabriel Marseille is your new leader on 4 marks, ahead of Matteo Grattarola on 8, Toby Martin 9, Benoît Bincaz 10, 12 for Adam Raga, and 20 for Hugo de Fred. Jaime Busto next up. 3 times Spanish champion. The only man to have beaten Tony Beau in the last 4 years of extra competition. 3 career wins in total for Busto. No match for Beau, though, in Barcelona. 10 marks down in the grand final, and Tony Beau beating him 1 fiasco to 4. Busto hoping to pull a mark back as early as round 1 of extra... pull a point back, I should say, as early as round 1 of Extra Chalon sur Saône tonight. His credit, Busto did get his head down at Extra Barcelona to take 2nd place, beat Gabriel Marseille by 1 mark. That's the kind of damage limitation results he is going to need if he wants to take the fight to Tony Beau, because Busto had 4 thirds and a 4th among his results last season. And Tony Beau, frankly, just doesn't drop that far down in any X-Trial. Clean in section 1 then for Jaime Busto, who now embarks on section 2. Gabriel Marseille, first rider clean through this one. Busto a mark up on Marseille after section 1. Still 4 to play with. The leadership of this round, and remember, a World Championship bonus point for the rider who tops the leaderboard after these 5. Easy work there in section 2 for Busto. Certainly flowing tonight. What about section 3? What about section 5? Those are the 2 tough ones. Busto has aced his exam thus far. Section 3. Nobody's cleaned this one. Martin, Grattarola, Marseille, they've all got through it. Busto needs to do the same, particularly if he's going to fight Tony Bow for a World Championship point in round 1. So he leads extra Chalon sur Saône on 4 marks. Jaime Busto has yet to score. Looking very, very confident at the start of the night. Of course, if he is clean, Tony Bow would have to do the same and match it and beat him on time. Half the time remaining, he's almost at the exit gate of section 3, so good pace from Jaime Busto. I think he's just got there. Was that clean? Yes, it is. Given as a clean, he was flipping backwards, teetered momentarily, but recovers it, and it's a hat-trick of cleans for Jaime Busto on his opening run. Section 4 now. Every rider's been clean through this one. Jaime Busto chasing his first world title. As I said, he's had 3 national titles. Spanish Championship joint leader after the opening round of 2024 in Arteixo 3 weeks ago. Tied with Gabriel Marseille. The pair also close rivals in last year's Extra World Championship. Busto took the silver medal by a 5-point margin. Also has the upper hand with a 3-point lead after Extra Barcelona almost 6 weeks ago. 4 cleans from 4 sections for Jaime Busto. Another one here would really heap the pressure onto Tony Bow. Section 5. Well, it's not going to be a clean because there are 2 marks taken on that first step. Only 2 riders have made this section successfully, Benoit Bincaz and Gabriel Marseille, and both of them have dropped 2 marks. Still 2 marks up ahead of Gabriel Marseille is Jaime Busto. That's going to be another... Is that a failure, though? I think it is. And that's what Mr. Estripeau has said as well on the arena floor to the French fans. And that is now confirmed. He had 2 marks on the first step. And then there was another for leaning, and he used the foot to push himself forward at the same time. So an accumulation of marks. And suddenly, Jaime Busto drops out of what was looking a fairly comfortable lead at that stage and into second place behind Gabriel Marseille. The stuff of small margins is X-Trial these days at World Championship level. So your new top 3, Gabriel Marseille on 4 marks, Jaime Busto on 5 marks, Matteo Grattarola on 8 marks. Tony Bow still to come in round number 1. If he betters his teammate Gabriel Marseille's 4-mark score, he will be your round 1 winner and add another World Championship point. Winner of Extra Barcelona, Tony Bow. That was his 80th career victory from just 107 appearances. 8th consecutive season as well that he's kicked off with a win. Maximum score for him as well, with victories in rounds 1 and 2 in the Palau San Jordi. Only the 6th time in 13 extras since the new scoring format came in that he's picked up the maximum 22 points. 7-point lead in the championship to defend then tonight. Also a handy big score with the dropped round regulation in mind. Big score certainly more important for the overall classification than consistency, and Tony Bow starting as he means to go on in 2024. Clean to open the night here in the Colosseum. Section 6. Bow making it look easy on that first step. Perfect on the descent. Great landing, maximising the space available on that box. Carlos Berneda, as ever, barking the instructions. Tony Bow riding with some comfort there through section number 2. He'll clean. 4 marks to play, remember. 3 to be certain of beating Marseille. Realistically, though, Marseille only saved 6.8 seconds at the end of his run. Bo looking much better than that on time. He's got to avoid dropping those 4 marks. Failure for Jaime Busto in the last section. He'd been perfect up until then. 3 minutes to go for Bo. This is section 3. Bridging across to the next island of these cable reels. Landing it on the front wheel. Letting the front wheel do the work. Now the descent. When Bo is at ease on his bike, it really does make things look spectacularly easy. You have to say that Busto gave him a run for his money in near perfection in his first run as well. Made it look very easy until the last section. Section 3. Second rider clean through there is Tony Bo. Like Jaime Busto before him, a hat-trick of cleans. Section 4. Well, every rider has made it through this one clean. It would be a major shock if Tony Bo didn't. But those bizarre things do happen sometimes for Tony Bo. Sections that other riders complete with ease. Occasionally he makes the odd error. I don't think that's going to be the case here. Tony Bo makes it 4 cleans for 4. So if he gets through section 5, he wins round 1. If he doesn't, Gabriel Marseille takes his first World Championship bonus point of this season. Section 5. Ultimately has proven the toughest of round 1. Only Bruno Bincaz and Gabriel Marseille have made it through this one. Tony Bo. Oh, that was almost very naughty. He landed it brilliantly on the top, and I thought he was going to do it without taking a mark. Ultimately, he knows he needs to get through this section more than he needs to clean, so he takes the dab just to make sure. He was almost up clean. Tony Bo wins round 1 of Extra Chalon sur Saône for 2024 and remains without a drop point in the World Championship for this season. A 1-mark score in section 5 is his only drop mark of his opening run in his all smash. Well, Tony Bo enjoying life thus far. You'd say that round 2 is going to be a high-pressure situation with only 4 sections and 3 minutes, so you want to get as much of a margin in your opening ride as you possibly can, and Bo, 7 marks up on the tail grass roller. First of the riders outside of that top 3 cut. Disastrous opening round for Adam Raga, down in 7th position already. He's 7 marks back from Jaime Busto. That looks unrecoverable. So a question of damage limitation now for Raga in round number 2. But we head into the second phase of competition tonight with your top 4 separated by 7 marks, with Tony Bo still yet to drop a point in the 2024 World Championship.